Thank you for joining us for our next episode of Camp Conversations with Chelsea at Camp Freedom. Today's guest has spent 35 years in law enforcement, the last 16 years of his career in internet crimes against children. We have retired Detective Sergeant Chaz Balogh.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Well, we go way back, and I know you from my last life
Yes,
in local news when
correct.
you were with the Luzerne County District Attorney's Office.
Yes.
But where did your career in law enforcement start?
Luzerne County Sheriff's Office
Okay.
in May of 1989.
Wow. So you've seen a lot.
Yeah, but it's been a lot. So it's been rather interesting.
And you've spent some time as a police officer.
Yes,
So take me through the timeline here.
sure. So I started the Sheriff's Office 1989. 1991, I graduated the Pennsylvania Municipal Police Academy, where, as I still was working full-time with the Sheriff's Office, started working part-time police work, realizing, the Sheriff's Office was fun, but, sometimes it could be very boring. So that's sort of what got me right into going to police academy and thinking, eventually I knew I wanted to be a police officer. So that stepping stop was pretty good with the Sheriff's Office, but then realized I was really enjoying police work. So I worked in Sheriff's Office and police work until 2000 when District Attorney Dave Lupus offered me a job at the DA's office. So I started there in January of 2000 and really began my real career, I guess.
When did you become a canine handler?
So
What did you do before Spike entered the scene?
sure. So I worked with the DA's office. I started off as their community service officer. So I literally would just go around and do any kind of public education programs for school students, people in our society, just going out and talking about being safe, real estate agents, safety classes.
Wow.
I developed all the Crime Watch. I developed the Luzerne County Crime Watch Coalition, which was under Dave Lupus as well. So I literally was running all these crime watches throughout the county and then doing whatever public speaking that there might have been, needed.
And then I think we need to tell people about Spike. So we need a little bit of background on Spike.
Sure. Well, so after I became a community service officer, I eventually got promoted to a detective in 2008. And at that point, it was shortly thereafter, I had Spike. I got Spike, and I've had him for 10 years now. Well, he's going to be 8 years ago, actually. So November 4th of 2018 is when I got Spike and became my partner and is my best friend.
And for the listening audience, on the video, we're going to show some pictures of you and Spike. Spike is a canine investigator.
He is. He's very a unique kind of canine, and in retrospect of the normal law enforcement police canine, where people see and you can't pat and you can't really approach these dogs, Spike is actually an electronic detection device. So he actually finds electronic storage devices. So if you think about that, when we say electronic storage devices, that's actually cell phones, tablets, laptops, internal, external hard drives, micro SD cards, SD cards, USB thumb drives, hidden cameras, tracking devices. So these are all devices that the dog is specifically trained to find. And when think about how rare that is in...
we did a story together where we put it to the test, and I hid micro SD, smaller than this, SD cards in a garbage can underneath garbage. And Spike found it.
He did. And that's just what he's trained to do. It's really incredible. And a lot of people used to say, why do we need those kind of dogs, right? Like people would always say to me, okay, that's really cool, but why do we need that? And it just goes back to, I think about the mentality sometimes of our society that a lot of people don't realize how prevalent child sexual exploitation really is, right? So, and that's really what Spike's really trying to find, right? Even though he's finding those electronic storage devices, they're devices that we normally would miss if we were going to do a search warrant on a suspect's house. And so if we don't have Spike, we're probably leaving that house, leaving evidence behind, and probably the evidence that we're looking for, which may contain what we refer to as child sexual abuse material.
Sure. And I mean, there are so many ways that you can get items that look like normal everyday items to hide them inside, like hairbrushes, soda cans, water bottles. I mean, how many of those? What do you think Spike's record is up to? How many arrests?
Oh my God, we had hundreds of arrests. I mean, in Spike's career, 8 years we've been together. I mean, legitimately, I'd say, well, obviously well over 100, but I would say it's quite a few. But more importantly, we found evidence that we would have missed. And I think that's the really biggest thing is that, he indicated on things that we would not have found and we would have left behind. I always go back to the first time I actually came home with Spike, and we graduated on a Friday. On a Tuesday, Spike and I assisted the Pennsylvania State Police with a search warrant, and we found a USB thumb drive. It looks like a cigarette lighter in a drawer, and really what it was a audio and video recorder. And so when the investigators were looking in that room and they opened that nightstand drawer, they seen that cigarette lighter with some cigarettes and didn't think anything of it.
Wow.
So when I brought Spike through, he kept hitting on the drawer and like we're all looking. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. We, took the objects and put them on the ground and he specifically hit on that cigarette
Lighter.
lighter. And then we all realized, well, there's got to be something more to that. And that's when we realized it was an audio and video recorder as well. So that's a perfect example. That was our very first search warrant.
Wow.
So it was really cool.
And so since then, he's helped so many children
Yes, in more ways than one. Obviously,
because he does work at the Children Advocacy Center
he
too.
does his his primary function is to find electronic storage devices.
Sure.
However, he is trained as a therapy dog, and what's really great about that is to see your dog be able to comfort children during a very critical time in their life, right? So to see that is just incredible, and so when we go to a search warrant, our main idea is to, let the dog do his job. But then if we have children, try to let Spike interject with himself with those individuals, and especially those children, just comfort them a little bit. But more importantly, if we have to then realize we have to take any of those children from that house and then be interviewed at our child advocacy center, that he can go with them
Hmm.
because a lot of people that might be listening to this and watching this don't realize that at that child advocacy center interview, parents aren't allowed in there. The only individuals allowed in there are the forensic interviewer and the child themselves, right? So it's great to have that little extra, having Spike go in there and be with that child and to watch a child disclose that they have been sexually abused or exploited and then see them like hugging your dog and loving on your dog as you're telling that as he's comforting them during that difficult time is incredibly emotional
Yeah.
and just amazing to see the work that he does.
You would, I mean, there is probably some gratitude in there, like, thank God he's available, because otherwise you might not be able to get that interview, get that information, and ultimately save that child.
Correct. And that's exactly right. I mean, so it is nice to see the children do trust that dog. One of my last cases we had a female child victim who was being sexually abused and had been interviewed a few times and never disclosed. And we were able to introduce her to Spike. We had to do a search warrant, and we were able to let Spike hang out with her for about 45 minutes. Finally, she trusted us to the point where, after being interviewed 3 times by a forensic interviewer and not disclosing anything, she realized that Spike was her friend and he was there to protect her. And, finally made her first disclosure. And so we were able then to move forward finally after years of these allegations being made and being investigated, but nothing being done because the child didn't disclose. it wasn't until that Spike came into her life and made a huge impact, so much that she was able to make the disclosure and then go on to the Child Advocacy Center and let Spike be with her and made a full disclosure so that we were able to get her out of that, finally get her out of that horrific situation that she's been living for several years. It was probably one of the most rewarding things. And my dog has done a lot of crazy things, but I'm going to tell you a lot of great things and has been with a lot of children during forensic interviews. But I'm going to tell you that really hit home for me
Hmm.
because it was just so special to see that child take to my dog and just give her the courage to make it such a big disclosure, knowing that she's been threatened not to ever disclose. To overcome that was just incredible.
That fear.
Yeah. So,
And that just speaks to how important the partnership is too between the the canine with the district attorney's office and the child advocacy center.
yes, for sure.
Because that child advocacy center is an independent nonprofit.
It is. It is,
Yeah,
so, but it's nice that, Spike's available for them
sure.
and to be available. So even after I retired, I made it very clear that, you know, if they ever need him to come down, that, he's more than welcome to go down there, and I'd leave him there if they needed to, whatever it is to be able to help a child victim.
And so now you still work with Spike though.
I do. I'm very fortunate that after I retired, I took a little part-time job just so I could keep Spike active and still go out on search warrants to assist the, Homeland Security, the Pennsylvania State Police, the Attorney General's office, and any other local agency that might need him. So I did that just in hopes that I could still keep him active because although he's going to be 10, he still loves doing his job. He still loves finding devices, and we're still getting recertified every year to keep him accurate and making sure he's still on point. So it's just really a nice addition so that it's still here, that he's still available to law enforcement in our area.
Sure. And you're traveling a lot too.
I do travel a lot. Spike and I we get to travel quite a bit for our new job, but that's something that's been very near and dear to my heart because, as you can imagine, when you're working in child sexual abuse material for 16 years, your mental health and your well-being is never really in a good place, right? So, and sometimes people in administrations don't think about what you're actually doing and the job that you're doing, and they get sidetracked and never really ask you about, hey, are you doing okay?
Maybe
So,
they're just thinking about the numbers.
yes, yes.
Now, I mean, you've touched on it. How important is it for someone who sees what you've seen in your fellow detectives to find a way to get mental support?
It's very difficult. You have to really do it on your own because no one's coming to ask you, and it's a big part of what I'm trying to do now is trying to make sure that other investigators that did the job that I do actually have that kind of support and to get administrations to start realizing that they need to be seen. We're required by our standard operating procedures to go see someone at least once a year. And that's not even done sometimes. And it's not asked upon you. It's just, it's really no one's telling you to do it. So, I was in that dark place. I'm going to tell you, I was for sure in a very bad place when just before I got Spike. And um, it was to the point where I wasn't sure if I can continue doing that job. And, you always get that friendly message, hey, you're the only one that does it. You're really good at it. And that doesn't make you feel any better, to be honest, because
It
they're
might make you feel trapped
right. It does. And you just got to keep going then at that point. Like,
because the guilt, then you're dealing with the guilt. Well, if I'm the best and no one else is going to do this, who's going to do this? I mean, you've told me before that you could arrest 30 people a day.
yes, it's very true. It's very, very true. again, society doesn't realize the backlog of cases that we have. And when I left, we had a very large number of cases that needed to be further investigated
Sure.
to go after the perpetrators.
And so, for people who might be in your position, I mean, what advice do you have for seeking help? Like, do it before you realize you need it almost.
Yeah, it for sure. I think for them is to reach out and ask for the help and make sure you ask because you have to seek it yourself. Again, no one's going to come and ask you. And when I had to do that, I mean, at one point in my career, I was literally going every Monday at 12 o'clock to see my psychologist just to keep myself in check. And, if I had not done that, Chelsea, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think I would have kept it together. That's just the honest God truth. I just don't think I could have ever continued the job if it weren't for making myself go there. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life. It helped me personally, it helped me professionally, but it definitely puts things in perspective because when you're in this job and you're passionate about the job, and I was very passionate about the job I did, and I worked very hard. You get to the point in your life where sometimes you felt like if I take a vacation, am I leaving someone else to be abused for that period of time that I may be gone? And I got that. That's how sick my mind was at that point. And that's
It's a
not
sense of
healthy.
duty.
Right.
I wouldn't call it a sickness, but it's a
Well,
duty
it
that you
it
feel.
it is. It is a duty, but the problem is you're not giving yourself any break. Like I very rarely gave myself a break. When I retired from the DA's office, I left on the table a lot of sick days that were unpaid. I didn't get, and I mean a lot, a real lot.
Yeah.
And I look back and I think they're probably the days I needed to have some mental health days and take time off, take more time off, to be honest with you.
Right. Just to keep your mind and yourself healthy.
Yes,
Because what you don't see, the forest through the trees, is yes, I'm the only one who can do this. I'm the best suited for this job. But if you burn out, then you're really gone from the job.
correct, correct. I mean, and it's hard. It's a tough line. It's a very tough line. I was getting to that point. I was getting to that point. But in 2018, when I got Spike, it sort of rejuvenated me. Believe it or not, I didn't realize how much that dog was going to bring love into my life and comfort and make me feel whole again. So it's hard to believe, although I'm still looking at those horrific images and videos, and you're not just seeing them, you're hearing them. You're hearing what's being done inside these videos. And so there's
Almost
no,
behind the scenes.
exactly, exactly. And it's just,
Horrific.
yeah. I mean, and it never leaves you. I don't care what anyone says, that it never leaves you. I'll never be the same person I was before I started that job. Never. So anyone who says that it doesn't bother them or they're okay, I don't believe it. If there's other ICAC investigators throughout the United States who make that statement, I just know they're lying because I lived it and I see other people living it. You know, there's no really making light of any of this. Like
No.
that's the sad part. That's the, you know, you see horrific things when you're in law enforcement in general, and you could make light of things. Not, and sometimes that's sometimes just a sick way for us, kind of to blow it off. Like, hey,
To
we're
cope.
right to
You do it
cope
in
with
the
it.
news too,
Cor-
because you see every day another tragedy.
Correct. And so it's just not the right thing, not the right way to go about it. So for other ICAC investigators, they really need to, seek help themselves. And I encourage anyone that's in that line of work that you have to make a point to take the initiative yourself because no one else is coming knocking on the door and asking, hey, how you doing? I can't tell you one time in my career I ever had anyone come up and say, are you okay? In my job. Now I had family members.
Yeah.
I had very close friends. I can remember a time at a friend's house where there were some other law enforcement officers there, and we were having a cookout. And I just remember it was probably the worst breakdown I ever had amongst probably 4 or 5 guys, and I just broke down. I just started to do nothing but cry, and, you know, all of my friends, including the one police officer who just recently retired, from a local municipality, and I'll never forget him saying, "You really gotta get yourself out of there. You know, you're not well. This is gonna kill you." And that stress is just unbelievable that I felt when I was doing that job. I literally felt like over sometimes I was not even sleeping at night because I'm just so worried about, finishing one case, going to the next case, and worrying about what's going on. Because unlike other people, I know the situations already because I have the case files and I know the investigation. So I'm finishing up one case. I'm already thinking about the other cases I have, and it's just very difficult. And then, of course, just in general, the subject matter doesn't help you sleep any better
No,
either.
I can't even imagine.
So it's something that I'm still struggling with. I just went to as part of my new job, we're trying to develop a program to help law enforcement, specifically ICAC investigators who are dealing with child sexual abuse material, trying to come up with a program to help them with mental health and offer that to them at free cost to the agency, to that individual. And so I had to, travel out to Virginia and go through this program. And I'm going to tell you something. It was probably one of the best things I've ever done. And, I went there. I was honest. I was open. And, it's hard. It's hard for cops to talk about this stuff because, especially men, right?
Hmm.
Men, we're like supposed to be these big, tough guys and nothing bothers us, because that's all men will say, right? But at some point, deep down, it's bothering you, and it's really not you're not going to get any better if you have that attitude. But that program really, really helped me even more recently, and that was only just a few weeks ago. I went to that. I couldn't believe how much I opened up. I mean, our instructors were totally blown away that I was so forthwith coming with my feelings and things that I went through, and you know, in my personal life. I mean, even in my personal life, things come
Sure.
out. You know, so it's not easy. It's just not easy.
No. Well, that's why I thought you would be an excellent guest here because a huge part about Camp Freedom and what we're about here is talking about service and taking care of your mental health.
And I'm telling you, more and more people should be taking advantage of that. And I hope that people listen to this, and they will, and specifically people who do the job that I did, and they realize it's not okay to say you're okay, if
To
that makes
to just
sense.
say that. Right.
Correct. I mean, it doesn't help you at the end of the day. I tell a lot of people, and my brother was one of the first people to tell me that, hey, you're drinking a lot. And I used to not ever really be a drinker. No one in my family is actually a drinker. So I I started realizing when he brought that to my attention, I truly was, I guess, self-medicating myself sometimes to the
Sure.
point where um, I was really harming myself more than helping myself. I caught myself in that rut, right? So I remember that. I remember that so clearly that, when he brought that to my attention, I'm thinking, you know what, he's right. And then I wasn't going to the gym. I'm not doing any physical stuff. I'm putting weight on. And then you just get more and more depressed. And I just felt myself going down that hole. And I'm telling you, it's not a good place to go. And no one really ever came to me and said, "Hey, are you good? Are you okay?" Thank God for like family and friends that are close enough that they realized that there's something more going on. So
Sure. And then your first appointment you made, how did you feel after?
it was I. I'm going to tell you something. I was emotionally drained, but I never felt better in my life. I mean,
Instantly.
instantly. I mean, I felt so good about going because as a cop, you're always hesitant. doubting whether you should do this, because when you're a police officer and you got to go to see a psychologist, you're worried about, are they going to take my gun? They can take my badge. They think something's wrong with me. So as a police officer, that's the first thing that comes to cops' mind, right? I mean, it truly is. I mean,
The
because
livelihood of it all.
100%, 100%. So it's like a very fine line, like no one ever says, hey, it's okay to go. It's okay. You need to go. You should go. Doesn't mean that you're, going to harm yourself or do harm to anyone else. It's just, they should make it more clear so that officers realize that they could go get help and still continue to do the job they're doing. So, but yes, and when I tell you I went every Monday for months, that's no exaggeration, 12 o'clock, every Monday at 12 o'clock. And I look forward to it. I look forward to it. A lot of great things came out of it. A lot of disclosures of my own that I had to deal with over many years. So, it really helped me become a better person and a different person. But yet I was still doing that job. So I was still seeing that evil, but I was trying to cope with it. It did help me cope with it better. But it does still take its toll on me. And it did. And when I finally got out of the job and I did retire, December 5th of 2024, it took me several weeks to get acclimated to like living this new lifestyle. Because when you become a police officer, it's not like we change jobs a lot. Like you're a law enforcement officer, whether you're doing it here or there, that's your career. So
And your
that's,
identity
right. That's all I
and
ever
your
known.
purpose.
It's the only thing I'm good at. I don't pretend to be a plumber, electrician. I am the least handyman kind of person, right?
Yeah.
So all I'm really good at, it was doing my job. And I took pride in that. But I'm going to leave this job and I'm not sure what else to do in life. And that's just a whole nother conversation to have with law enforcement, because no one's there to help us make that transition. It's
No.
not an easy thing, because you've been saving people and helping people and rescuing people. And now you're going to be going do nothing. Like you feel like when you leave, you're not going to accomplish anything else. You're not going to save people. Who else is going to do it? Is someone going to step up and do it? And all that goes through your head. Like that went through my head when I was leaving my job. Is someone else going to be able to pick up and continue to do what I was doing? And you can only pray and hope that someone's there to do that, because through counseling, I realized I can't be the only person, and I'm not the only person in the country doing exactly this job. I know there's other people out there doing it, but I was more concerned, like, is someone right behind me in my agency who's going to be able to keep doing this? So, you can only hope to feel that. But when I left, and several weeks later, I finally like I realized everyone though seeing me was like, you're a totally different person. You're happy. And everyone thought I was always happy. That was all fake happy. Like people find that hard to believe when I tell them that, but that is the truth. You see me now, I am happy. I am the happiest person. I realize how much stress I feel so stress free because I don't have that over me anymore.
Yeah.
And you become a different person. I mean, I literally have become a different person in every aspect of my life. It's just incredible. It's incredible. So when I help people now, I find myself giving to charities, helping financially wherever I can, to spread that good wealth. So in my mind, I feel like I'm still helping people. And then when I took my new job, it's almost kind of very similar to what I used to do, but I'm still working with law enforcement. I help them. I provide them with tools that they need to go after people who are sexually exploiting children, and sex trafficking. But the good news is I don't have to see that stuff anymore. I'm helping them get the tools they need, whether it's a dog like Spike or, forensic software, hardware, or training. So I'm still dealing with law enforcement, but I don't have to be involved in looking at the images and video anymore. So I feel in my mind, I'm still fighting a good fight, but yet I don't have to put myself in that dark place anymore.
But you were lucky to be able to find that transition and continue that purpose.
I, I will tell you, I'm the luckiest person in the world. I always said I had the best job because I loved my job at the DA's office. I'll never say I truly loved my job, and I truly believed in everything I did. I believed in a mission. I believed in every victim that I worked with. There's nothing more gratifying than still getting messages and for holidays and birthdays and from victims and survivors who still reach out to me and stay in touch with me. There's nothing more rewarding than that because it just makes it all worthwhile.
And you've touched on a lot. And really, I mean, I wanted to talk about how important it is to get help.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Because that's the whole purpose here. Like, even though you're not connected to Camp Freedom itself,
right.
it is
And I got to tell you, like,
the messaging is
I,
still the same.
I wish, you know what? I wish I think there's probably people out there who don't realize, what Camp Freedom offers, even because everyone's probably thinking law enforcement or military,
Right.
not realizing it's first responders. I mean, making
Sure.
that clear probably would help.
Yeah. Well, that's part of what this whole mission is about, and bringing you on here and hopefully reaching the audience you reach across the country. Um, but we have this thing called Care Fridays, and it's the first Friday of every month where in the pole barn, we set up all of these different agencies and a food distribution for veterans and first responders. You just sign in and get access to whatever you need, whether you need dog food or you need help with the VA or you are looking for therapeutic services. So, something that we've done here at Camp Freedom is kind of put all that in one place at a place that you're comfortable with and coming to, where, so like you said, getting that comfort, like those victims, getting comfortable in a place before you disclose something. Or for a first responder, getting that comfort before you disclose you're struggling.
Yes. And I think for first responders, it's just that trust. It's
Yeah.
just building that trust, you know.
Because you see so much that it's hard to trust people.
Yes. Yes. Well, by nature,
You're like, wow, human nature is ugly.
yes. Yes. Unfortunately, especially first responders, because we see nothing. Well, I don't want to say nothing, but majority of the stuff is very evil and bad things, right? So you're right. I mean, do we get to see great things? Yes. When we're saving someone, we save a child, we take them out of but yeah, there's not enough of that. That's the sad part. That there's not enough in our profession that we get to see good things instead of all the bad things.
Yeah, the bad definitely outweighs the good.
Right. And I know we were talking earlier when I tell you about, being in that dark place. I mean, being in that dark place is tough to get out of. It takes time, it takes courage, but it takes trust. You gotta and have a support system and knowing that there's someone there who's going to be able to help you. And I found myself being afraid to talk about stuff. And again, I'm going to go back to how you worry, is this going to affect my job if I
Sure.
start bringing these disclosures?
If I
And
talk about this, what if I can't feed my family?
right, right. I mean, at the end of the day, right. First thing you got to, and I think law enforcement agencies and administrations and management, they need to understand that they gotta make that more of a open door kind of policy. I mean, every department has standard operating procedures, but I'm going to tell you, a lot of them don't follow it. And I don't care what anyone says. That is just a downright truth.
Well,
Um,
a lot of them are understaffed and overwhelmed. It's almost like, oh, we'll get to it. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that this week. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that next week. Or,
sure. And
hey, when you want to do it next month, like let's push that off. We're in the middle of something really important right now.
right. And then they'll say they have peer mediations. They'll have someone like a peer person, a peer to peer kind of program where you have someone in your agency you should be able to go talk to. I'll tell you, they don't really talk about that much, right? And that's in like bigger police departments. I probably in Luzerne County, it's probably very limited of agencies that actually have such a program, to be honest with you. So for me, I think that needs to be addressed more in our profession
Sure.
because I don't think that it's something that they're pushing out as much as they should be. You know what I mean? So it's very sad. It's very sad. So I look at it like when there's bad situations in Kingston, they had that fire where they had to pull out those young
Yep.
individuals out of that house. You know, think about the trauma that went to the police officers, to the firemen, to the paramedics, all those people, how it affected them.
The
It,
911 dispatcher on the phone with the child.
incredible, right? You know, it was one of the first times I actually felt really proud to see them have a debriefing where they brought grief counselors in, they brought people in. We took our therapy dogs over to the fire department
Mhm.
just to let the dogs be with them and just to comfort them in any way that they could feel needed. I felt so proud of those agencies for immediately recognizing that this is a traumatic experience in all their lives. And I'm proud to say they did the right thing by bringing in and hurrying up and bringing people in immediately, not weeks later, not I mean they were really on that, and I would just say it was nice to see that because it's something I always wanted to see happen. So,
Sure. And just some background for people who are unfamiliar with the story. There was a fire this winter in Kingston, Pennsylvania, in which a 11-year-old and a 13-year-old boys, brothers, didn't make it out alive. They were survived by their mother, their stepfather, their stepsister, or their half sister, excuse me, and a grandfather.
yes, yes. So I was proud to be able to, at least be a part of that and go over and help with Spike along with other, therapeutic dogs that everyone rallied together. We tried to start a group right here in Luzerne County for crisis situations that we
Hmm.
have several therapeutic dogs in our area that if something tragic happens that we could all come together and bring the dogs to the facility and to that location to comfort those people who might need comfort. As we all know, sometimes people may not talk to another human about what they're going through, but to watch someone going through that traumatic experience and then just hug a dog and love on a dog, because we all know we talk to our dogs or our animals and it's the truth and we feel better after we do it. So it's just nice to be a part of this group that we're just starting here in Luzerne County. So any way that we can try to help.
Sure.
So that's something you probably weren't aware of.
No.
I just threw
Breaking
this at
news.
you, right?
We got
Right.
the scoop.
Right, now you have it. So, but we not formally have a name, but we're working on something. So,
Okay.
but it's there, right? So our 911 center now knows that we have these dogs, and that if they need to call us out, there's several of us. If we, someone will be able to make it for sure. If not one, several dogs.
Sure.
So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and it's something that we just and believe it or not, there are a lot of first responders. We have, a female deputy sheriff who has a therapeutic dog. We have K9 Mac with out of Courtdale, Luzerne PD, with
Okay.
Spike and I, with
He's a
Sergeant Tony
what kind of
Smith.
dog is he?
He's a Great Dane.
A Great Dane. I was
He's
gonna say Great Dane. I
he's
was
as
like, I
big
know
as
he's a
us.
horse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's big as us. Right,
Okay.
right. Little kids, you could ride them.
Yeah.
um,
Get a saddle for
and
him.
Matt will be okay with it. So it's just nice to see. We have another officer up in Hazleton City who has now getting a therapeutic dog and working that dog to be. So whether you're in the northern part, southern part, the middle, we have you covered.
Now, was this modeled after any kind of agency you've seen across elsewhere in the country?
No,
Oh, okay.
we just started, and I'll be honest, it seemed like Sergeant Smith from the Courtdale Police Department just started like putting this group together and saying, let's try to make ourselves available. And then we just started trying to do that more and more. So again, you talked about the 911 dispatcher. So we wanted to make a point to make sure we took the dogs down there for them too,
Yeah.
and to support not just her, but everyone else that had to listen to what was going on. So they did do that. So we sent dogs down there as well. So it's just another way of trying to help people go through a crisis.
Sure. And when you say first responder, people automatically think, okay, police officer, firefighter.
Yep,
Then maybe they'll think about EMS, paramedic.
correct.
but they have, this, there's a whole network
Yes. One
that people do not automatically think about when they think of first responder.
and that's a good point because I mean, and it's funny we're talking about that. We're talking about that 911 dispatcher. This week is National Telecommunicators Week.
Oh, is it?
And so, yes. And so we took food down yesterday, Spike and I and K9 Mac and Sergeant Smith. We all went down. We visited 911, took some food, soda, just to show our appreciation to the people behind the headsets, right? Because they're the ones who start every call. Every
Yeah.
call ends and starts with that dispatcher.
Sure.
And they go through everything that we go through, except they never really sometimes never get to hear the ending until like later.
Right. Until maybe they see it on the news.
Correct. Correct.
How many times, I mean, was it rare where an investigation for ICAC started with a 911 call? Or would it be
Mo-
common?
Well, that would be uncommon for most part.
Mostly it's internet tips.
Yes, and so the way ICAC investigators work is we actually receive what's called a cyber tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Okay.
And so what happens is every electronic service provider is required by the Electronic Service Provider Act that if they come across any kind of child sexual abuse materials on any of their servers, they're required by this federal law to go ahead and report that image, grab all the data and all the information that's attached to it. Meaning, if I sent an inappropriate image via email and I send it through Google, through
Okay.
Gmail, their goal is to go ahead and capture that image, capture my IP address, all my account information, and then what they do is they pack it up and they send it to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children then say they put all that information into a report called the Cyber Tip Report. That Cyber Tip Report then they by geolocation of your IP address, hey, that's Luzerne County. So what happens is it eventually makes its way down to Luzerne County, and then we would do the investigation. That's how majority of our work
Yeah.
is 100% reactive. And all those tips come from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Now, as you can imagine, and all the viewers can imagine that since COVID, I mean, it literally has tripled, or if not quadrupled, literally the amounts of cyber tips that we receive, because during that time, that pandemic, everybody's on their devices, right? So it's crazy to think that we are so inundated with cyber tips that we can't keep up with them. There's not enough manpower to keep up with it. There's no agency in the country that has enough manpower.
Now, do you think that something that scanned those servers, is that AI? Is that,
It's an
is that
algorithm.
not human?
It's an algorithm.
Okay.
And to clarify that, now that you asked that question.
Yeah.
So we have what's called known hash values, known fingerprints, like digital fingerprints, is like a hash value. So every image, every video has a digital fingerprint. And so once we have those digital fingerprints, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children provides those hash values, those digital fingerprints, to all the electronic service providers. And so as they're going through the servers, they're scanning all those digital fingerprints, say, hey, that's been already identified as a child sexual abuse material. And then it gets flagged. That's how it really gets flagged, through the algorithm.
Okay.
So for people listening and watching.
Sure. And so it's like this has the same characteristics as these last 3 that were reported for this.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, every digital fingerprint is unique, just like our fingerprints.
Wow.
So yeah, unfortunately, there's millions of these files that they're scanning to see if there's something there.
This is overwhelming.
It's scary, actually, to be honest with you. And to think that there's so many cases that are just sitting, waiting for someone to take out of our queue and start investigating it is, we were literally hundreds behind in cyber tips when I left my agency.
Now, do all of these tips are some of these tips false negatives?
That's a great question. That is a great question.
I mean,
You
we
know,
would hope.
I will tell you, when I first started my career doing this, back in 2008, doing the ICAC investigations, I would say like it was probably 60-40, meaning 60 was like it was good, and 40, it was just like something that it might have been self-produced, or it was something that we didn't require further investigation.
Okay.
So I will tell you, in today's world, when I retired in December of 2024, I will tell you, I think it was probably 85% where majority of the cyber tips were something that we needed to follow up on, compared to that 15% that we could just don't need to like investigate. And it's something that we could just go ahead and close out. So, but that's a big swing if you think about that. Like, that's a big number when you think about all those cyber tips that are sitting somewhere just waiting to be investigated. And, that means it's a child. That's a child that's being, maybe abused or sexually exploited.
Sure.
And that's the part that got overwhelming when, if you
Right.
can imagine in my position, like, how do I can't get them all, right? You gotta, and then you feel bad because sometimes you'll take something that you feel that's more serious over other ones. And, you're making judgment calls at that point because you don't know, right? What if I took one of those cases and I let one sit for another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and that whole time that child's being sexually abused? I mean, and then you find out, listen, to say that doesn't happen, it does happen. So that does really happen. Unfortunately, I will tell you that does happen. And
And that's the harsh reality.
correct, correct. It's just not enough manpower to be able to keep going. I mean, you literally could have a whole task force of investigators to do this and still not be enough. And in our area alone, we are so understaffed with what we call internet crimes against children investigators. We get young guys that come on the job now and they want to do this, right? But you know what they want to do? They want to do proactive investigations. They want to go out and catch
The
the
predators.
child predators.
Yeah.
They want to be, but not realizing, yeah, we need to catch them. But I got to tell you, we have hundreds of cases we need to work on where we know that we have something good and that needs to be investigated. And and that's the flip side of this. As law enforcement, we found ourselves over the years not be able to do very much proactive investigation because we're doing so many reactive investigations. And that's where I think no one realizes, yeah, we'd love to be doing that. We'd love to be going out there and doing catch a predator and catching these guys who want to come and travel great distances to have a sexual relationship with a minor child, right? We'd love to do it, but we don't have the time. We don't have the manpower.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the truth. So as much as we want to do it, it's very hard. A lot of agencies know what we do now across the country. We pick certain times of the year and say, hey, we're gonna spend a whole week and we're gonna go after as many as we can get in 1 week. And then, not do it again for maybe another year or 6 months, unfortunately, because we're just worried about those reactive cases.
Sure. You mean you mean trying to catch predators.
Yeah, well,
For
right.
you'll do that for a week.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And
Cuz you see there are some detectives with local departments that, that's their focus.
correct. And a lot are coming from a third source.
Sure.
And,
And there's challenges with that too.
correct. So, and so that's a whole nother subject matter, right? So,
Right.
but at the end of the day, a lot of them are based from that, right? To say we have people out there just going after those predators is really far and few in between. And I
Sure.
hate to admit that, but it is the truth. But you just never know. Like, if we get time, we try to do it. And, a lot of those cases we get is from a mom and dad saying, doing their due diligence and looking at their kids' electronic storage device saying, hey, who is this? Who are you talking to? And then they realized it might have been a sexual nature, and they realized this might be an older person by the conversation. And then they notify us. And then we become involved in that case. But to me, that's not a proactive case. That's still a reactive case,
Sure.
as far as I'm concerned, because mom and dad are the ones who, initiated that. They brought it to us. And then, yeah, we absolutely would take that case. We will take over that persona of that child and then continue the conversations and then eventually make that arrest of that perpetrator.
But that child is still exposed.
Correct.
And so you can't undo that. You can't. Right.
No. And I think that's the other part of that, right? When we talk about, our children getting, that's a whole different world too. How easy it is for our children to be tricked by these individuals that seek out minor children. I mean, that's just a whole nother subject matter. It's a
Yeah.
whole, again, that could be a whole show within itself. I mean, it's just, uh, I'll tell parents this. If you let your son or daughter use an electronic storage device and you don't know what they're doing, you're putting them at risk. And more importantly, I will say to every parent that that device is not a babysitter. If you're using it as a babysitter, your son or daughter or your grandchild, whoever it might be, is it definitely somewhere having communication with someone they shouldn't be, and they're definitely in danger. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
You've seen enough to say that.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just like you said earlier, it's just so evil to be involved in something so evil. Just going back again to seeking out help or finding an outlet or something to take care of you.
Right. I mean, and again, and that's and to deal with these kind of people for that many years, 16 years is just it takes your toll. It takes a toll on you. You know,
Because there's no guilt on that end.
no,
They have no guilt.
no. They always say they do, but that's definitely by far the furthest from the truth. I mean, you know, I just make sure anyone that's listening, all of our law enforcement officers, if you even think that you need to talk to someone, reach out to someone. Reach out to someone you trust, someone that you know that can help you, and I seek help. Do not be embarrassed. Do not feel weak. It's not a sign of weakness. As a matter of fact, to me, it was a sign of strength, and it just brought me a whole new life. And if I had not done it, I don't know where I'd be right now. And that's just the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, um, bad things could happen.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your service, for
Well, it's an
doing this
honor.
and saving those
It's been
children.
it's been the biggest honor of my life, and I will cherish it till the end of my life. I know I did good things for the right reasons, and I know I did everything I could to make people and make our community safe, and more importantly, saving our children.
Thank you.